A specific category of slot machines exists on every casino floor right now that receives almost zero player attention. And here's what makes this fascinating. They're perfectly functional. They're not malfunctioning. According to former casino floor managers, these machines are strategically positioned in deliberate locations with some remarkably interesting configurations, and casinos desperately hope you never question why. What you're about to discover will fundamentally transform how you perceive slot machines. Let's begin with the first machine you'll never witness in promotional materials. Machine number 1, Blazing Sevens Triple Jackpot. This represents a 3-reel mechanical slot that's existed since the early 2000s. According to a former floor manager from Caesar's Palace, this machine operates with an RTP between 96 and 97%, depending on the specific configuration. That's substantially higher than most contemporary slots, which operate between 88 and 94%. The machine appears antiquated compared to the spectacular video displays surrounding it. It's simply 3 reels featuring classic 7 symbols and a straightforward jackpot display without animations, licensed movie characters, and complex bonus rounds. And that's precisely why casinos don't promote it. Former employees disclosed that Blazing Sevens generates roughly $180 per day in casino profit. Meanwhile, a modern Buffalo video slot in a prime location generates over $600 per day. Identical floor space, but drastically different revenue. Here's the specific indicator for locating these machines. They're consistently placed in corner positions, never in main walkways. At MGM casinos, former staff revealed they're typically in the back sections near older table games. At tribal casinos, they're often in the original gaming areas that haven't been renovated. You're searching for mechanical reels, not video displays. When you locate them, examine the glass carefully. If it states triple jackpot specifically, you found the higher RTP version. A former slot technician from Atlantic City shared something fascinating. These machines require more maintenance than video slots because they have physical moving parts. Casinos keep them operational because completely removing them would anger long-time loyal players who specifically seek them out. But they've calculated the mathematics. The maintenance cost plus the lower profit margin means these machines barely justify their floor space. That's why you'll never witness a casino advertisement featuring them. But here's something most people don't realize about Blazing Sevens. Because it's mechanical, you can actually hear when it's about to trigger. Experienced players listen for a specific sound the reels make when they're landing on high-value symbols. It's not guaranteed, but it's the kind of information you'll never get from digital machines. Former employees said some players would sit near these machines just listening for patterns. Now, you might be wondering why casinos maintain any high RTP machines at all if they're less profitable. We'll address that answer, but first, you need to know about a machine that casinos conceal for a completely different reason. Machine number 2. Ultimate X Video Poker Triple Play. Ultimate X isn't a traditional slot machine, but it sits on casino floors, and former employees consistently flag it as something casinos purposely keep under the radar, specifically the triple play version, where you play 3 hands simultaneously. This machine has a unique multiplier feature that carries over between players, creating massive advantage opportunities that casinos desperately want to minimize. Here's how it operates. Winning hands activate multipliers for the next hand. If someone plays and builds up multipliers, but then leaves the machine, those multipliers remain active for the next player. One fortunate player finds the abandoned Ultimate X machine with active multipliers. Finding one with 12 times still loaded is basically discovering free money. Now the question may arise, why would anyone leave a slot machine if it has a high multiplier? Before I answer this question, I'd genuinely appreciate it if you desubscribe and tell me in the comments, have you ever won substantially with a small bet amount? Anyway, the genuine answer for the question is pretty straightforward. It usually comes down to one thing: confusion. Many casual players don't even realize their multipliers carry over to the next hand. Some think the feature resets automatically when they cash out. Others get frustrated after a losing streak and leave without noticing what they've built up. And occasionally, people just run out of credits or need to catch a flight. Either way, the advantage stays on the machine for whoever finds it next. The problem for casinos is that this isn't illegal or against any rules. It's just pure fortune, but it destroys their profit margins on these machines. According to a former slot analyst from the Cosmopolitan, when Ultimate X machines are in high-traffic areas, players check them constantly. Some dedicated gamblers even have daily routes across multiple casinos, scanning every Ultimate X machine for abandoned multipliers. So casinos implemented a two-part strategy. First, they stopped promoting Ultimate X entirely. No advertisements, no mentions in player communications, nothing. Second, they moved these machines to the most inconvenient locations possible. At many strip casinos, former employees said Ultimate X machines are in sections near parking garage entrances, in empty corridors between casino sections, or near back service areas. One former floor supervisor mentioned they intentionally placed their Ultimate X machines near employee break room entrances, so staff would naturally notice suspicious players checking them. Here's a specific story that shows how serious casinos are about this. In 2017, a group of gambler friends was banned from the Tropicana in Las Vegas. They weren't cheating, they were simply too efficient at finding and playing abandoned Ultimate X multipliers. According to a former security supervisor who was there, the team would coordinate via text messages, walking different sections of the casino, and alerting each other when they found promising machines. The casino couldn't prove anything illegal, but they invoked their right to refuse service. After that, several other casinos on the Strip quietly implemented similar policies. The visual identifier for Triple Play Ultimate X is important. You researching for machines that show 3 separate poker hands stacked vertically on the screen with the Ultimate X logo and multiplier displays above each hand. Not all video poker is Ultimate X, and not all of them are Triple Play. You need that specific combination. What makes this machine particularly fascinating is that casinos QENT just removed the multiplier feature because that S, the core game mechanic, and they can't eliminate video poker entirely due to customer demand and regulatory considerations in some markets. So they're stuck with a machine that players love, and their only defense is concealing it and watching for suspicious behavior. But here, S, what you need to know about the next machine, because this one involves casinos using loyalty programs as weapons. Machine number 3, Triple Red Hot 7's Free Games version. Triple Red Hot 7's with the Free Games feature is a specific variant that casinos have systematically removed from prominent floor positions over the past 5 years. According to former slot directors, this machine has a bonus structure that's too favorable when combined with player rewards programs. The game itself is straightforward. It looks like a simple 3-reel classic, but it hides a Free Games bonus that triggers surprisingly often. Former employees explained that the combination of decent base, RTP, around 94 to 95% plus frequent free game bonuses, created a situation where players using maximum comp benefits could achieve effective returns above 100%. This wasn't a flaw in the machine. It was casinos miscalculating how their loyalty programs would interact with the game's volatility pattern. A former casino host from Pennsylvania shared internal documents showing this exact problem. They ran analysis showing that platinum-tier players using multiplier days on Triple Red Hot 7's free games were essentially playing at break-even or slight advantage. The casino's response was methodical. They couldn't remove the machines entirely without angering existing players. They couldn't change the loyalty program structure without affecting all games. So they implemented what former employees call strategic depreciation. They stopped advertising Triple Red Hot 7's. They moved existing machines to remote floor locations, and they stopped ordering new units when old ones broke down. At properties that still have these machines, they're almost always in the oldest sections of the casino floor. Former slot managers confirmed they're typically near original entrances that are no longer primary entrances, in sections with older carpet and decor, or near areas designated for locals rather than tourists. The interesting part is, casinos are betting on natural attrition. As these machines age and malfunction, they're replaced with lower RTP alternatives. Within 5 to 10 years, Triple Red Hot 7's free games versions will likely disappear entirely from most casino floors. But for now, if you know where to look, they're still there generating higher returns than almost anything around them. What makes this particularly clever from the casino's perspective is they're not doing anything overtly wrong. They're simply choosing not to promote certain products. It's the equivalent of a restaurant keeping a loss leader menu item but never mentioning it to customers. Machine number 4, Double Diamond 3-Reel Classic. Double Diamond represents one of the oldest slot brands still operating in modern casinos. The 3-reel version specifically, not the 5-reel video variants, has an RTP that former slot directors described as uncomfortably high for contemporary casino economics. These machines typically run between 94 and 96% RTP, which sounds modest until you realize modern themed video slots average 88 to 92%. That 4 to 8% difference compounds dramatically over thousands of spins. According to a former regional slot manager for a major casino chain, Double Diamond 3-reels generate about 40% less revenue per day than equivalent floor space occupied by licensed theme slots. The machines take up the same square footage. They require similar maintenance, but they make substantially less money. So why do casinos keep them? The answer involves demographics and regulatory perception. Double Diamond machines attract older players who grew up with mechanical slots. These players are typically locals who visit frequently and have established loyalty program relationships. Removing their preferred machines would risk losing their consistent, if modest, business. Additionally, having some higher RTP machines on the floor helps casinos maintain the image of offering player-friendly options when facing regulatory scrutiny. Former Gaming Commission liaisons explained that casinos want to demonstrate they provide games across the RTP spectrum, not just the lowest possible returns. Double Diamond serves that purpose perfectly. It's high enough RTP to satisfy requirements, but old-fashioned enough that it does attract mass player attention. The placement strategy for Double Diamond machines is revealing. At most properties, they're positioned in sections frequented by local players rather than tourists. Former floor managers confirmed they're often near sportsbooks, in bar areas away from main casino entrances, or in sections with lower denomination slot machines. The logic is straightforward. Tourists walking the main casino floor are drawn to flashy video slots with movie themes and elaborate bonus features. They'll walk right past a plain 3-reel machine without noticing it. But local players who know what they're looking for will specifically seek out these higher RTP options. By placing them strategically, casinos satisfy their regular customer base while minimizing exposure to high-volume tourist traffic. One fascinating detail former employees shared: some casinos actually track individual player preferences. If they notice someone consistently playing Double Diamond machines, that player's comp offers and promotional communications will emphasize other games. The casino wants to gradually migrate them toward lower RTP options without explicitly saying so. Machine number 5, Wheel of Fortune, quarter 3-reel. This requires specific clarification because Wheel of Fortune exists in dozens of variations. The specific version casinos hide is the original quarter denomination, 3-reel mechanical version, not the dollar version, not the video versions, not the penny multi-line versions. Specifically, the 25-cent 3-reel with the physical wheel bonus. According to former slot operations managers, this version has an RTP around 95%, significantly higher than modern Wheel of Fortune variations, which typically run 88 to 92%. The reason involves licensing costs and design evolution. The original Wheel of Fortune machines were designed and placed before modern casino analytics became sophisticated. They have payables that were considered acceptable at the time, but are now viewed as too generous by contemporary standards. When the license was renewed and new versions developed, the RTPs were adjusted downward. But casinos couldn't immediately remove the original machines without potentially violating agreements with IGT, the manufacturer. So they were grandfathered in but strategically hidden. At properties still operating these machines, former employees said they almost always in the original sections of the casino that have been renovated. At strip properties, that means the old core sections that predate the major expansions. At regional properties, that means the original gaming floor from whenever the property first opened. The visual identifier is crucial. You're looking for quarter denomination specifically, mechanical reels, not video screens, and a physical wheel mounted above the machine that actually spins when triggered. If you find all 3 elements together, you've located the high RTP version that casinos never mention. Former slot technicians shared that these machines require more maintenance because they have physical components that wear out. But some casinos keep them running because completely removing them would necessitate explaining to regulatory authorities why they eliminating higher RTP options. It's easier to just leave them in place, neglect promotion, and wait for them to naturally age out of service. Machine number 6, Lightning Link High Stakes. Lightning Link is an extremely popular slot series with multiple variations. The specific version casinos avoid promoting is the high-stakes variant with dollar denomination minimum. According to former slot analysts, this version has a hold percentage that's lower than most other Lightning Link variations, specifically because the higher denomination mechanics alter the volatility pattern. Former gaming managers explained that Lightning Link was designed primarily for penny and nickel play. When the manufacturer created higher denomination versions, they maintained similar bonus frequencies to keep the game feel consistent. But higher denomination play with similar bonus frequency creates much more favorable mathematics for players. A penny player hitting a $50 bonus is excited. A dollar player hitting the same bonus frequency but with scaled payouts generates much better returns relative to their investment. Casinos discovered this wasn't sustainable for profit margins. They could remove Lightning Link entirely because it's one of the most popular slot brands in the industry. They couldn't remove just the high-stakes version without awkward questions from both the manufacturer and customers, so they implemented limited placement. At most major casinos, if Lightning Link High Stakes exists at all, it's in a single bank of machines in a remote section. Former floor supervisors confirmed they're often positioned near high-limit rooms, but not actually inside them, in sections between casino and hotel areas, or near back entrances that get minimal foot traffic. The strategy relies on obscurity. If players don't know these machines exist, they can't specifically seek them out, and casinos certainly aren't advertising them. All the Lightning Link promotional materials feature the penny and nickel versions. The higher denomination options are never mentioned. One former marketing director shared that they were explicitly instructed never to include high-stakes versions in any promotional photography or videography. The reasoning was straightforward. Why promote the version that makes less money when you can promote the versions that are more profitable? Machine number 7, Buffalo Grand Jackpot. Buffalo is arguably the most popular slot brand in North American casinos. Multiple versions exist with different features and denominations. The specific version casinos downplay is Buffalo Grand with the Grand Jackpot feature. According to former slot directors, this version has a progressive jackpot structure that pays out more frequently than casinos anticipated when they initially placed it. The mathematics of the game are sound from a long-term perspective, but the jackpot hit frequency created more winner excitement and social proof than casinos wanted. Former marketing analysts explained the problem. When someone hits a grand jackpot on Buffalo Grand, it creates a celebration moment that other players notice. That's normally good for casino atmosphere. But when it happens too frequently, it changes player perception. People start believing that Buffalo Grand is loose or lucky, which drives traffic specifically to those machines. This concentrates players on a version that's less profitable than standard Buffalo variations. Casinos responded by limiting Buffalo Grand placement. At most properties, there's a single bank of 4 to 8 machines, maximum. They're positioned in areas with good visibility to staff, but away from main player traffic flows. Former floor managers said they often placed in sight lines where security and slot attendants can monitor for advantage play attempts while keeping them out of high-traffic walkways. The promotional strategy is equally revealing. All Buffalo advertising features the standard version. The Grand Jackpot version is never specifically promoted. And when casinos run Buffalo tournaments or promotional events, they almost always use standard Buffalo machines, not grand versions. One former slot operations director shared an internal memo that perfectly illustrates this strategy. It explicitly stated that Buffalo Grand machines should be maintained but not promoted, and that any player inquiries about Buffalo should be directed toward standard versions first. Only if players specifically asked for grand versions should staff acknowledge their existence. Machine number 8, Zombie Apocalypse Skill-Based Slot. Zombie Apocalypse represents a fascinating experiment in skill-based gambling. It looks like a standard slot, but when you trigger the bonus, you play a first-person shooter game where you shoot zombies. Better accuracy equals bigger payouts. Here's the problem casinos discovered. Skilled players practiced. They improved at shooting mechanics, and their return percentages climbed significantly higher than the designed average. A former slot analyst shared internal data showing that skilled players were achieving effective RTPs above 100% on these machines during bonus rounds. That's not sustainable for casinos. But removing the machines entirely would be admitting the skill-based experiment failed. So casinos did something clever. They pushed them aside, ignored, and left to collect dust. But these machines require more maintenance than standard slots because they have more complex software and hardware. When casinos deprioritize maintenance, the machines malfunction more often, which drives players away naturally. At casinos that still have zombie apocalypse machines, they're almost always in the most remote sections of the floor. Former employees from multiple properties confirmed they're often near back entrances, in connector hallways, or in sections of the casino being renovated. The goal is to make them so inconvenient to access that only the most determined players will bother. There's a larger story here about skill-based gambling. Casinos learned quickly that skilled players are exactly who they don't want. Traditional gamblers who rely on luck are predictable and profitable. Skilled players who can improve their odds are neither. According to industry reports, most major casino chains have completely abandoned skill-based slot development. The existing machines remain only because they're paid for and occasionally someone plays them. Now, here's where things get really interesting because the next machine involves casinos literally watching and waiting for specific moments. Machine number 9. Ocean Magic Grand. Ocean Magic Grand is a video slot with a unique feature. It has bubble symbols that randomly appear and can upgrade wins, but there's a specific mechanical quirk that casinos don't advertise. The bubble feature has states that carry over between players. Former slot technicians explained that when someone plays Ocean Magic Grand, the bubble accumulation doesn't fully reset after they leave. The next player inherits a partially advanced state. This creates an advantage play opportunity. Experienced players often roam the casino floor looking for Ocean Magic Grand machines left behind in a favorable setup by someone else. According to a former surveillance operator, casinos are aware of this behavior and have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, these players rarely win enough to significantly hurt profits. On the other hand, their presence and behavior can be noticed by regular players, potentially educating them about game mechanics. The solution casinos implemented was to avoid promoting Ocean Magic Grand and to place the machines in locations where advantage players scouting the floor would be more obvious. At most casinos, these machines are in sight lines from surveillance cameras and near staff stations. Former floor supervisors mentioned they're trained to watch for players who check machines without sitting down, which is the telltale sign of advantage scouting. Here's a specific example from a former pit boss at the Venetian. They noticed a player checking Ocean Magic Grand machines every morning around 10 o'clock. After intoxicated tourists from the night before had abandoned games, this player would check the bubble states on multiple machines, then sit at one machine and play for exactly 20 minutes. After tracking this behavior for 2 weeks, they estimated he was generating about 102 to 103% return, meaning slightly profitable play. The casino's response wasn't to ban him. They simply moved the Ocean Magic Grand machines to a different section of the casino where morning scouting would be more obvious to staff. The reason this matters is it shows how casinos think about these situations. They're not trying to eliminate all advantage play. They're trying to make it difficult enough and obvious enough that only a tiny percentage of players do it. By not advertising Ocean Magic Grand and by placing it strategically, they control the situation. So we've exposed 9 specific machines that casinos deliberately hide from you. Every one of these machines tells essentially the same story. Casinos control information, manipulate placement, and guide your decisions to maximize their profits. The machines they promote heavily are almost always worse for players than the machines they conceal. Understanding this dynamic doesn't guarantee you'll win. The house always has an edge. But it does mean you remaking informed decisions instead of being led exactly where they want you to go. By exposing these hidden machines, we're giving you a fighting chance to play smarter. You're not supposed to know any of this, but now you do. Which of these hidden machines surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if this opened your eyes to casino strategies, smash that like button and subscribe for more insider intelligence casinos desperately don't want you to discover. Share this with your casino friends, because knowledge is power on the gaming floor. Remember, play intelligently, stay informed, and I'll see you out there. Good luck.